Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com. After leaving the Elder Scrolls Online, I've been bouncing back and forth between different games and couldn't find anything that interests me until I returned to Star Wars: The Old Republic nearly 3 years later. I knew there was a bunch of new storylines, so I decided to give it a try again. This video is my opinion about coming back to the game 3 years later, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so you can decide if it's worth picking up, something you want to play. Let's get started. The three things I loved about the Star Wars Old Republic in the past and currently is story, PvP, and advancing your character. So let me start with story first. It's been the best part and the backbone of this game with 8 main stories and then a plethora, a ton of them, afterwards. Now I knew that the Revan series had came back and there was a bunch of books about it, so I had loved the character of Revan and I was not disappointed to complete the story. The graphics are a little bit dated in SWTOR, but you gotta realize the storytelling, the presentations, the quality, and the fact that your choices actually matter make it really good, almost to the level of a single player game. Plus it gives you incentive to continue doing the story, come back, so if you're a big Star Wars fan, you love that Old Republic era, the story is awesome. The next thing I love about SWTOR is their PvP system, player versus player. It's instance-based, high-paced, and there's always someone to fight. Also, you have competitive arenas that are rank-based with an elo system. I honestly don't miss ESO's large-scale PvP, and the reason why it felt like the gear, you were so dependent on it that it really could carry you. And then also, it was just came down to numbers most of the time. It feels like SWTOR, while it's not perfect, at least I can queue up, play, if I die, we lose, whatever, it resets. The downside of the PvP is there's still win trading on dead servers, people throwing matches that don't like you, and there's toxicity, which is the reason I left the game in the first place. But overall, the pros are, it's just fun, and that's what video games should be. Another main positive for me in Star Wars: The Old Republic is the fact that advancing your character, almost everything you do, contributes to it. There's 2 systems, one with command crates, which is somewhat RNG, random based, but you also have a token system, and that every action you take at endgame or max level will somehow benefit your character. And it also feels like gear isn't as impactful as other games where basically it just carries you through so much content. Where yes, gear matters. Yes, you want to work towards advancing your character, but it's not the end-all be-all, which is getting better at your class, your rotation, your spec, and your confidence. That is what's more important and more impactful than spending hours and hours and hours farming gear. So you have 2 ways to do it. Every action at endgame works towards advancing it, making it really fun because you can take your time and play the way you want to. But SWTOR isn't all sunshine and rainbows because you have the good old Cartel Market, which is basically just heavy microtransactions. So it's an EA game, Electronic Arts, say whichever you want to them, but it does feel a little pay to win. Here's why. You can sell the items in these crates on the auction house and essentially use that credits in-game to buy gear. Now, it's not top-of-the-line gear, but it's still gear. So it does feel pay to win, but at what point do we stop? At the end of the day, almost every single MMO these days has a character booster, a level booster, crown store, cartel store, whatever they want to call it. Do you retire for a game or do you just not contribute to it? So I've taken the stance, I'm not going to contribute to it, but this game is heavy microtransactions. Not to mention the free-to-play model for this game does suck. You need to subscribe to make it worth your while. Another downside is that there's no mega server. In fact, there's a lot of different servers, and basically they're relegated to pretty much 2 to 3 active ones per North America or EU. Elder Scrolls Online did it right, having one major mega server, so it always felt populated, it always felt like something's going on. So there still seems to be a thriving community, but I think the different servers really hurt it, because when I came back to Prophecy of 5, it was completely dead. I had to transfer to the Harbinger. So that is a big downside. The last downside I have is combat. Now you'll see in this video here I'm healing, and healing in combat in this game is a lot different than say Elder Scrolls Online. Elder Scrolls Online is much active, more faster paced, where this has a global cooldown system. You can see my bar. I have basically 30 keys I can click. So you're really only going to click about 10 to 15 of them, but at the same time, there's just so much going on. With a global cooldown system, it doesn't feel as active and as fast as Elder Scrolls Online. And I think that's the reason I played it for so long, is that the character builds were so diverse and different. And that's another thing that hurt Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's just really simple character progression. I can see a lot of games going to this because it's just easier for folks, casual folks, to get in and be able to feel powerful and somewhat useful. So that's a big downside, is the combat's slower pace. It's like World of Warcraft old 1.5 second cooldown, and that you don't have the character detail and builds like you can in other games. You only have a few impactful choices, and you can still make your build cool and unique, but the combat is not Elder Scrolls Online. So my final thoughts on Star Wars: The Old Republic is, play this game if you like massive story, simplistic level character progression, instance-based PvP. Do not play this game if you want something free of microtransactions, super populated, or action-based combat like ESO and Guild Wars 2. I've decided to come back to play this game as my main MMO because I love the story and I'm a Star Wars freak, reading basically 1 billion of the books, can't get enough of it. And the thing that I like about it too now is that I can progress my characters slowly without a massive time investment, so I can still focus more on my conditioning, spending time with my family, and that's important to me. And lastly, that I'm excited about making content for this game, because I haven't felt excited about making videos and sharing information and guides for a very long time. Is this for you? I don't know, I can't answer that question, but I hope to see you in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'm on the Harbinger, and check the video description for a reference code that will help me out. Thanks for watching.